everyone, it's Jake at Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well and welcome to episode 36 of my Metal Vault. You know the drill by now. If you've been watching this series for a while, to anyone brand new, welcome to the channel and welcome to this series where I will be exploring and showing you my favorite albums from heavy metal to thrash metal to death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it, all of that excellent stuff. And this album, no question, an absolute banger from a legendary grindcore band formed in Alexandria, Virginia in 1997. And I got to see these guys twice. They played Bristol at Temples Fest 2015. And then I saw them at Damnation 2022 playing the album that I will be talking about in this episode in its entirety. And just heard it again before doing this video, and some nasty, heavy grindcore. I'm talking about Pig Destroyer, again formed in 1997, and have been going strong ever since. And the album in question is the 2001 release, Prowler in the Yard. This is just, like I said, it's insanely heavy. Of course, there's the back, here's the guys themselves. And this is a re-release, just to let you know now. And of course, the album itself was released on the label Relapse Records. Of course, this is, like I said, the re-release, so it should say, yeah, 2015. And of course, the album itself came out in 2001. So 21 years after it came out, when they played at Damnation, this entire album from start to finish. Like I said, it is a re-release because it's got two CDs. So we got this one right here, which is the remixed, remastered side, and of course the original mix of the album itself. So yeah, disc 2 is, like it says here, original version of Prowler in the Yard. Of course, this one is the remixed, remastered, which I will listen to. And yeah, just to compare the sounds, of course. But either way, it's going to be heavy and nasty and disgusting. There's the artwork again. Just trying to not have the light from my camera reflect on it. What's the guys on the back? The only one that's not in the band anymore is the drummer. Hasn't been in any band since then, but JR and Scott are still in the band today. And there they are, all three. And of course, we got some lyrics in here. Well, some written stuff here. So, like I said, it's a re-release, so there's going to be some more stuff in here. Band pictures there, and lyrics. There's a lot more in here, but I'll just show you some lyrics with some band pictures, if any. Like I said, this came out in 2001, but before that, before this album was even, before on any of their minds, they formed in 1997 with, of course, the lineup that we see on this album, as well as, of course, their demo from that same year they formed, just called Pig Destroyer. They had a different drummer then, so the two consistent members have been JR and Scott. Been the consistent members of the band since its formation. And of course, that went into their debut, Explosions in Ward 6, which came out in 1998, so a year after they formed. Then they did a split with Orchard, and then another split as well, and then they did the EP and another split, a compilation, which then, because the compilation came out in the year 2000, and this came out a year later. And like I said, I got to see these guys twice. So they played. Well, they played two sets at Temples Fest 2015. So they played like just a full-on grindcore set, and the other one was a bit more on the dronier side. I can't think what album that might have been from, what side, which album it is. Not entirely sure, but it's got some of those like I don't want to say electronic, like industrial sounding drony sounds in some of the songs, especially the last song on the album. And oh, I mean, if you've not heard it, then you like a really big grindcore fan. This is definitely one that you need because this is just from start to finish completely off the chain. For good reason. And the artwork, looking up all before I get onto the song, so artwork done by Paul Booth. Now, Paul Booth, you know who Paul Booth is. He's a tattoo artist, but has done cover arts for many, many bands, which include Deicide, Necrophagia, Sepultura, 6 Feet Under, The Ravenous, Tribulation, Hell Yeah, Harp. I think that's pronounced. It's HAARP, Graphic Violence, and of course Pig Destroyer. And this album in particular, and of course, if you know Paul's style, very, very dark, very in your face, very evil looking, and of course he's done guest vocals for Soulfly and 6 Feet Under. So yeah, a Paul Booth piece of art right there. Not sure how they contacted him about that, but it's really cool to see that. As for the cover model, that was Bobby Steele, and of course he's been in bands. One of them, as such, was Misfits. Of course, done guest stuff for Toxic Holocaust, another great band there, and of course, getting back onto this album here. Like I said, I'll be exploring the band and the album and whoever worked on it. Of course, Scott did all the recording for this album. Executive producer is Matthew F. Jacobson. Of course, did one of the albums for executive produced one of Abscess's albums, Agoraphobic Nosebleed, Amorphis, Bonzilla, Brutal Truth, Cephalic Carnage, Convulse, Daylight Dies, Deceased, Dying Fetus, Exhumed, Gruesome, General Surgery, High on Fire, Incantation, Mastodon, Mortician, Asm, list goes on, and a lot for Pig Destroyer, of course, and yeah, the list goes on. Suffocation and Soylent Green, just to name two more there. Another Scott here, Scott Kincaid, of course, photographs. So, like the picture you see here, also for Agoraphobic Nosebleed, which I think one of the members, I believe Scott, just to remember the top of my head, is also an Agoraphobic Nosebleed, and he's done going back to Scott Kincaid, did photographs for Brutal Truth, Dying Fetus, and Incantation, Mastodon, Suffocation, Toxic Holocaust, The Gates of Slumber. Just the name of handful there. And for the design, that was Jonathan Candy, who's in a band called High Strange, and was in a band called Dead World. I don't know if anyone will know that, but obviously he worked on this album, hence why I'm mentioning him. Cryptic Story did designs for Daylight Dies, Dead World, Disembowelment, which of course famous death doom metal band from Australia, famous to all of us fans of the underground. Dying Fetus again to be mentioned here, and also Exhumed again. Mortician, Nasm, Origin, Regurgitate was obviously came up on the other lists of people that have worked on albums. Of course, designs for Horrify, like the re-release of Horrify for Repulsion, and of course Back to Big Destroyer. So quite a few people worked on this. Like I said, I haven't heard the remixed version of the album, but like I said, it's just going to be just as heavy. I mean, heavy as, of course, the original recording of it when it first came out. Now, let's talk about the album in question. Let's talk about Prowler in the Odd. How many songs do you get with this? You get 22 songs on this, on pretty much the original version of the album. Like I said, I got the 2015 re-release, so a lot more added. So I think on the remixed version of it, on disc 1, there's an unreleased untitled song, which I haven't heard yet, so I can't comment on that. But if it's anything like the other songs they've got on this album, then yeah, just just start you know, with this stuff like this. Like if you listen to Grindcore, and I mean mainly listen to Grindcore, you're gonna love this album from start to finish. Again, it's just completely off the chain, and it's balls to the wall heaviness. Starting off with the song Jennifer, which is not the shortest song on here. The shortest song on here, if I can just get onto that, is 16 seconds long. So you got Jennifer, and then it goes straight into Cheerleader Corpses, and there's so many songs. I'm not going to name them all, but just from start to finish up. But anyway, well, I'll show you the songs anyway in here. The disc's just fallen out for some reason, and okay, good. So, hold on, put the CD there. So you got all the songs right there. So starting with Jennifer, and then obviously going all the way down. So 22 tracks of just intense grindcore, ending with the song Piss Angel. Because like I said, I got the like I said, this is the re-release. Because on the re-release, there's another one called Jennifer 2. And how that starts off, it's very, very disturbing. Because you've got that automated like voice that you would get. Like the best way I can think when I first, like best way, like if you watched any like Newgrounds videos, and some videos they would use that automated voice, and it's on this, especially with the first song, and then I think you hear it on, of course, Piss Angel, the last track on here, which is like 7 minutes and 57 seconds long. So that's the longest song on here, and that's kind of unusual for grindcore to see that. You see a long song in a genre that's just known for just intense speed, but then you hear like that automated voice again, and similar to the stuff you heard on the first track. I mean, the whole album itself, I love the whole album. So it's just intense. One of my favorite songs on here is called "Naked Trees," a really cool song. What's the other ones I like on here? Don't know. Of course, how it starts, title track, not title track. There's the track how it starts off. Just obviously, it's got that automated voice and recounting like a gruesome murder that happened in like in the song. Starts off like that, and then just goes in your face. So really cool song right there. I know it's only 20 seconds long, but Ghost of a Bullet, really, really solid track right there. Oh, man. And yeah, Piss Angel's a really cool song as well. Just I like it because it's the longest one on there, and of course it's like I said, it's unusual to have a song that long within a band like that. But obviously the first half of that is just again that really in your face, intense heaviness of the song, the music, or the guitar, the drumming, the vocals, because there's no bass on this, and they never had a bass player. Never had a bass player. But they always had someone do like, the sampling for like live shows and stuff. Obviously, when I saw on Damnation 2022, they had someone on there doing sampling. I'm pretty sure it was JR, or they had someone else. Let me just quickly get that up, live members. So oh, and they got, well, they did have two live members, but I'm pretty sure now they do have someone called Alex who does all the live stuff, like all the electronic sampling, some backing vocals. He's been in the band since 2023. I think they had someone before that. I could be what? Yep, Blake Harrison. Of course, he sadly passed away this year, which was just absolutely gutting to hear. Of course, he was on the last album that they did in 2018, Head Cage, and that album's that's again another intense album, really intense album, and his work on that, yep, just bringing that added extra heaviness, intensity on top of grindcore. So all the noise, sampling parts on top of something like Pig Destroyer works really well, and he will be extremely missed. Of course, he was not on this album, but of course, live he did the sampling and all that, and just added another layer to what's already a monumental album. And like I mentioned before in one of my last videos, I was going to start going into early 2000s territory of metal and of course grindcore. And I thought I'd start off with this because it's one of my favorite albums, and it's a testament to grindcore. Of course, we've had bands before that like Napalm Death, Repulsion, and even those that drove into grindcore and death metal, so Impetigo, bands like that. But these guys just took it maybe like 10 steps further, just turned it right up and just, you put this on. Even I haven't heard the first album, but I've heard this one and I've heard Head Cage, and what, because I'm going to buy every single album because I've, of course, found this at Black City Records and I thought, yep, taking it, I'm buying it. And it will be in, and of course, it'll be in my collection update, which I'll talk about later on. But I thought it's going to be on this series first, and for good reason. Let's get a bit of a water, wet the whistle, so to speak. um, and if you're one of those at the gym that likes to get on the treadmill and just go sprinting on it, this is probably the one for you. You're probably one of those now, and I'm thinking about it. I was thinking about doing it myself, but then I'll just like, oh man. Hopefully back at the gym tomorrow. So there you go. Definitely one that you can just get in the pit for when you see them live. Obviously, go for a bike ride. Be an intense bike ride because this is an intense album. And just there's a reason why. Because if you know this album, you're gonna know why. You know why it's such a heavy, intense. And that word I like to use a lot because I like using it, an absolute banger of an album. And yeah, this album is now nearly 24 years old. No, sorry, no, 23 years old, sorry. Because it came out in 2001, so yeah, it'll be 23 years old this year. Next year it'll be 24. Not until the 24th of July this year, so it will be 23 then. But nearly 23 years later, it still holds up today. And I'm going to use that word that I've used for all the other albums, like I did for my last episode. If you haven't watched it yet, I'll put it in the description below. It's a timeless masterpiece. Of course, it's been out for, like I said, nearly 23 years. So that's, and I think that it is a timeless masterpiece because it's a classic of early 2000s extreme, just extreme music, be it death metal, black metal, grindcore, black metal, doom metal, sludge or groove or whatever you listen to, anything that came out in the early 2000s. I'm trying to think of more fantastic albums like that from 2001, but I can't think of any at the moment. But I'm holding one here right now for you all. And if you are not familiar with Pig Destroyer, I do highly recommend, especially if you like grindcore, that you check out this band. Whichever album you started, you might have started out with uh Head Cage, for all I know. I don't know. Depends where it depends where you started. But you're like, did they have anything else out before that? Of course, I mentioned their debut, and they got this right after that. You know, 3 years after releasing their debut, they just go and release this, and of course, progressively getting more and more heavier and intense. But this is definitely one of those albums that, for any fans of just absolute in your face, intense, heavy, heavy, extreme music, just heavy, extreme, intense. I'm not repeating myself, but intense and just, you know, there's another word there I'm trying to think of, but um, just completely off the chain grindcore, and my God, it's nuts. Just completely freaking unbelievable album. Monumental to grindcore, just monumental to extreme music in general. Timeless masterpiece, and as a testament. And these three lads did an excellent job on this album. Well done to you guys. And for anyone that got this album back in the day, because obviously this album came out when I was still at school, and I wasn't even 10 yet. I was still 9 at the time. 9 going, because obviously I won't have turned 10 until November, but still, this was one of those albums that was out at that time when I was not even totally aware of metal, grindcore. I would have been, maybe might have been, no, sorry about scratching my nose. Of course, I don't, not. I've been totally aware of that sort of music, but then I found it, and that's why I'm here talking about, excellent, excellent, well crafted, extreme, intense music, be it grindcore, be it metal, death metal, black metal, doom metal, whichever. And of course, this is one of my favorites ever. Any of you newcomers that have just come in, here's a new one for you to check out. And just what an album, what a band. If you ever get a chance to see these guys live, because a mate of mine went and saw him in Liverpool not too long ago. And of course, he was wearing the Pig Destroyer hoodie because he was doing the Metal to the Masses here in Bristol. Of course, I told him about it. Didn't tell very many other people. Obviously, if I did say it out loud, they wouldn't have heard it because the music was turned up loud. But yeah. And this is one that you should definitely just crank up. Just annoy your neighbors. So once again, so in conclusion, excellent, intense, it's heavy, in your face, completely off the chain, timeless masterpiece of Grindcore. Pig Destroyer and Prowler in the yard. And that is it for another episode of my Metal Vault. I hope you enjoyed this one. I know it's Grindcore, but it is worth mentioning. Of course, I've already mentioned Repulsion and Terrorizer and Napalm Death because they got a place within the world of, death and thrash and black and doom metal, of course. And I got so many more like this to show you, be it from the 2000s or the late 90s, wherever. And like I said, I got my collection update. I may do it tomorrow, or I might leave it until Sunday because I just don't have a lot planned for Sunday. Probably just chilling out and stuff like that. So, like I said, I'm going to try and get to the gym, but try and get at least half of that album in on the treadmill. But there you go. So thank you again for tuning in to my Metal Vault, and to any of you newcomers to my channel, don't forget to like this video, share it around, comment down below if you have heard this album. What did you think of it? What about the band themselves? What did you think about when you saw them live? And to all you veterans, what did you think of them when you first heard this album and when you saw them live? And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with everything I got coming up on this channel. Loads more episodes, of course. Like I said, the last episode I did was on the Cliff era of Metallica. So the first 3 Metallica albums. Down in the description below if you haven't watched it yet. Now I've just covered this absolute in-your-face album. Got 3 more on this page to do. Of course, I had to swap it around because there was 2 more albums I was going to do, but I thought I'll put this one in over those 2 and maybe leave them for another episode. So there you go. So thank you very much for tuning in to this video. I've been Jake at Jake's Metal Chat. Do keep that banner of metal held high, and I will see you all again in another episode of my Metal Vault.